friends, we're back in the high tunnel. I haven't really gotten to talk much about the high tunnels, although I keep promising you that I'm going to. So just very quickly, the high tunnel structure that you see behind me, above me, is a way to extend the season. If you want to do season extension, a high tunnel is one of the most common things that people are setting up to do that. Basically what it allows you to do is extend your season. You can plant stuff much earlier than you typically would be able to plant things outside, and then you can also grow things a lot longer into the year than what you would normally be able to grow. For example, it usually frosts sometime in October, and then all of our outside garden crops, field crops, things like that, those things are all done. They're dead. You're not going to harvest anything else. In our high tunnels, we're picking broccoli and lettuce and kale and a lot of other greens through December. So that's one benefit of high tunnels. That's why people use them. Some people heat their high tunnels with firewood or another source of heat. You do not have to. We don't heat our high tunnels with anything other than sunlight, and I don't have to pay for that. So this is a great way to grow a lot more crops in a year than you would be able to outside. In addition to vegetable crops, I also put a lot of my flowers for our cut flower business in the high tunnels. It protects them from weather more so than if they were just outside. I can control how much water they get because I'm watering with watering lines versus rain. I can also control wind. I can put the sides down on a day like today and every other day this spring that the wind has been blowing things to death outside. So in here, rather than having a very short, hammered with rain and wind plant, I have nice tall crops that are growing. This crop here is a crop of Snapdragons. These are fancy Snapdragons. They're Madam Butterfly and Chantilly Snapdragons. They are a lot fancier than landscaping Snapdragons. People use them in bouquets and wedding things, that sort of thing. But my job for today is to go through and clip the Snapdragons. Basically what I'm doing to these plants is I'm cutting them in half. Why would I want to do that? I just talked about getting them to grow, and things are finally growing, even under my frost blanket here. So why do I want to cut them in half? I'm going to show you why. There are a lot of flowers that we pinch. It's actually called pinching. And what it does is it allows you to get a lot more flowers off of one plant than you typically would if you did not pinch this plant. You don't do this with vegetables. If you pinch your vegetable, you're going to not get anything from it. But if you want to grow cut flowers, and a lot of people are getting into that, pinching is something that you can do with a lot of different types of flowers. Ageratum, snapdragons, some of the daisies, dahlias you pinch, celosia. All of those things can be pinched to get tons more flowers than you typically would. And even if you're just landscaping, you can do the same thing. So let me show you what we're doing. I've got a good example right here. Because the weather has not been super cooperative and it's been cold, I do have my plants growing at different rates in here, so I don't just pinch on one day and I'm done. I've had to do it a couple different times. But I have a great example right in here of things that have been pinched versus not pinched. This plant right here is a snapdragon that has not been pinched. And if we look at it, I have one tall main stalk, and then I have all these little side shoots coming off of that stalk. If I just leave this plant the way it is, this one single stalk is going to grow, and it's going to get one tall flower, and that's really it. All of these side shoots, they'll get a small flower, but it's going to be about 4 to 6 inches long. And I can't do anything with that. I can't arrange it in a bouquet. I can't bunch them and sell them. That's kind of useless. But what I can do is get rid of this main stalk. Basically, this guy right now is the leader. He's the head honcho. And if I just let him go, it's going to stay that way. But if I take away this main stem, that's going to encourage all these little side shoots to take off and grow. Basically, who's going to be the next leader? They're all going to grow really quickly and very tall. If you're going to pinch your crops, you need to wait until there are at least 3 sets of leaves going up the stalk. Don't pinch before that. You're going to take too much energy away from your plant, and it's just going to to struggle to grow the rest of the season. But once I've got three sets of leaves, I've got one here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually have 5. I'm going to count up 3, and then I'm simply going to snip that off. Let it rot. I can do the same thing here. 1, 2, 3. Come through. I'm going to take that off. Oh, I just hacked my flower in half. It's okay, because you're going to then get a plant that looks like this. If I take a look at this plant, let's see if I can find it. I cut that flower right here. Now look at what my side shoots are doing. They're all growing very rapidly, and they're all getting tall on each of these. So basically I just went from having one main flower to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 flowers that are all going to be tall and harvestable. So I just increased the number of flowers dramatically, and that also increases my profitability. Sorry, I used a word that my family and I use and I didn't even realize it. Anyway, so that's a little bit about pinching and how it can be beneficial for your flowers, whether you're growing for money or whether you're just landscaping. My question for you today is kind of a college level question, but I want you to do some research. I've given you some easy questions. There are lots of hormones in a plant that control growth, just like livestock, just like in humans. Plants actually produce hormones as well. We just don't think about it as much. But if you have ever been to a greenhouse or a facility that grows plants, they use a lot of growth hormones on plants, either to get them to grow tall or to keep them short. So what I want you to research today is the hormone in a plant that causes it to grow. What is the hormone that makes a plant grow? Send me your answers.